given region R formed in Q1 or quadrant 1 such that it has these boundaries on top, or y equals 0 on top, and these boundaries on the sides, and then it's got this line cutting through it. We want to find the vertical line that divides region R exactly in half. So first thing is I made a little diagram here for you. Here's x equals 0, that's your left bound, here's your right bound, and here is y equals 0 there. And then here's our line, y equals 4x plus 11. So all I did was plug in when x is 7 to figure out what the y component, or coordinate I should say, is of that particular point. So here's our diagram. One thing that we can do right off the bat without really looking at this second part is we know this is a trapezoid, and so we can find the area of that trapezoid. So the area of the whole trapezoid is equal to the average of the bases. So the first base has a height of 11. Second base has a height of 39. So we want to find the average of those two bases, 11 plus 39 over 2. And then we multiply it by the height here, and the height here happens to be 7. So we can find the area of this trapezoid. That's 50 divided by 2 is 25. Times 7 is going to be 175. So the next thing we need to do is address the second part. We want to find the vertical line that divides the region R exactly in half. So we know what the entire region is. We can figure out half of that here in a second, but just to give you a visual of what's going on, this thing's not going to be split right down the center, because you can see that region on the right is going to be larger. So it's going to be shifted a little bit to the right. Don't know exactly where that is, but we'll find out here in a second. So we want to find the equation of that line right there, so that the area of this portion is equal to the area of this portion. Maybe I went over a little bit too far. Maybe it's somewhere around there. I don't know, but you get the point. So we want to go over here. Area of the whole trapezoid is 175. So area of the portion of each portion, or each half, is going to be 175 over 2. And we'll leave it in this form. You'll see why in a second. So area of 1/2 is 175 over 2. So what we want to use is, we know that this forms another trapezoid. What we need to do is figure out what the dimensions of that new trapezoid are. So let's go ahead and define this little piece. If we've got a length of 7 right here, and we're going to define this piece as x, then the leftover right here, this smaller piece, is going to be 7 minus x. We also want to determine, since we split this into two trapezoids with equal area, we want to determine the length of this guy right here, since that's going to be the base. This is going to be kind of like the bottom piece, or the bottom base in this trapezoid over here, and the top base in this trapezoid over here. So we're going to label this h. So what we can do now is we can set up, because we've created these two trapezoids, let's go ahead and set up, use some of the info that we know. I'm just going to go ahead and label these so you know which one I'm referring to here as we go through some calculations. 1, and we'll label this guy over here 2. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at trapezoid 1 up there, that left piece. We know that the area of trapezoid 1 is going to be equal to the average of the bases. So in this case, the base is 11, and the other one is h. So the average of those two is going to be 11 plus h over 2, multiplied by the height. The height in this case would be 7 minus x. And in the other case, trapezoid 2 is going to be equal to, again, the average of the bases, which is h plus 39 over 2, times the height of that guy is x. We define that as x. So we can use what we know. We figured out up here that the area of each half is 175 over 2. So let's plug that value in there. 175 over 2 is equal to 11 plus h over 2 times 7 minus x. And for the other trapezoid, trapezoid 2, we've got 175 over 2 is equal to h plus 39 over 2. That value times x. So we can go ahead and simplify a little bit. Over here on the left side, we've got multiply by 2 on each side, and we've got 175. 175 equals 11 plus h times 7 minus x. Those two quantities, the product of those two quantities. And then over here, in the blue for trapezoid 2, again, multiply by 2. But we want to go ahead and solve for x. If you notice, what we have is a system of equations in two variables, h and x over here. So what we want to do is we're going to use substitution method. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for x. And in order to do that, I need to flip and multiply. So what I end up with, multiplying by the reciprocal on both sides, is 175 over h plus 39 is equal to x. So I can go ahead and take that value, for x and plug it into the other equation and solve. So you guys should be familiar with how to do this. It gets a little bit ugly. We've got some denominators in there we need to combine, and some terms we need to combine, finding common denominators. I'll go ahead and do this part just in the interest of time. Alright, so I went through the process and solved, plugged back in for x, and then just did some expansion and combining like terms. What you end up with is the height of our trapezoid is equal to square root of 821. If we go back up to the original problem, what we want is the equation of the vertical line. So that's going to look like x equals. So what we need to do is take this value for h and plug it in up to one of our equations up here. This equation looks a little bit easier to work with, so I can figure out x by plugging that value back in. So I get x equals 175 over root 821 plus 39. And you can go through, you can find a decimal for that if you'd like, decimal approximation for that guy. It's going to be about 2.59. So there's our decimal approximation for x. But remember, we defined x as this little piece right here. So that's about 2.59. What we're really interested in is the equation of this line. And so if we find the equation of this line right here, we need 7 minus x. So the equation of our line would be 7 minus 2.59, and the equation of our line is going to be about 4.41.